is difficult in the Mozart music? Probably what is difficult first is to play a concerto which should be soft, and in the same time, if you play soft, nobody will hear you. So it's to play strongly with softness. It's two things which are opposite. You have, especially in this hall, which is enormous, we have to play, and it has to be thin and soft. Because the flute is, what is difficult on the flute, especially to play loud, it's not difficult, but to play soft, it's very difficult. It's a question hanging on the intonation, because when we play soft, the intonation goes down. So this is perhaps the difficulty. After, of course, another difficulty is that this music has been written 300 years ago. Or 250 years ago, and we have any more contact with this music. So there is a question of style, and this will be interesting also to hear all the ideas of each of us, because I would say nobody knows exactly how to play Mozart. If, for example, a teacher says, you have to play like this, or you have to do that, or to do this, the student could ask the teacher, but why? And why he was not, I say to my student, you know, I suggested this because I am not a student of Mozart, even not a student of somebody who knows Mozart, or even in chaîne. How do you say? Comment on dit une chaîne? Yeah. It's broken. There is any more relationship. So this is the second difficulty. The third difficulty is to find the sound. Because this softness, I speak of the way of playing Mozart, it has to be explained with a nice sound. And as you know, on the flute, producing a sound is very difficult. So there are many kind of difficulties. Fourth difficulty is to play like a singer, because the music of Mozart has been written exactly like an aria. For example, the second movement of G major is especially something who is hanging on an aria. Soprano or tenor aria. Could be, or andante. Andante is something who could be an aria of Tamino in the Magic Flute, for example. So this is the fourth or fifth, I don't remember, difficulty. And what else? Perhaps that's all, but perhaps can I tell you a little the story of this music, how it has been written. Mozart never traveled at this time without his father or his mother. Sorry for the beginning is wrong. Mozart, when he was 21, he decided to leave Salzburg to find a position, a job. And this was the first time he went away from his city alone, without mother and without father. Because before, all the time, he traveled with his father, mostly, sometimes with the mother, and the father showed him everywhere. This he stopped in Germany first. He wanted to go to Paris. He said, I had a big success when I was 5 years old or 7 years old, I don't remember. So I have to go back to this city and to this country because probably I will have a good job or a good position there. So first he stopped in Germany, in Mannheim, because at this time in Mannheim, the orchestra was the best orchestra in Europe. It was like Berlin Phil now or Vienna Philharmonic. So at this time it was Mannheim. Now it's a very small city, but at this time it was Mannheim. And he didn't go to the hotel, he went to a friend of his father named Weber. Weber, actually, it's the same family as Karl Maria von Weber. So he went to this Weber family, and Monsieur Weber, I don't know what he did as an occupation, as a job, but this guy had two daughters, Aloysia and Constance. And he fell in love with Constance. No, with Aloysia. Sorry, with Aloysia. And it's important to notice it, so Aloysia. And in Mannheim, he met a flute player named Wendling. Wendling was a French guy. He was Alsatian from the border, but at this time I think Alsace was German. And Wendling, who played the flute, introduced him a Dutch guy named De Jean. This is a French name, but he was Dutch. And he said, here I have an opportunity for you to compose flute concertos, because Mr. De Jean would like to have 3 concertos and 4 quartets, and also some sonatas, and he will be happy and he will pay you for that. So Mozart begins to write this music, and after he gave the first concerto, this is the one, the G major, De Jean looked to the score and say, okay, it's okay, but I am now a little afraid because I ask you a small concerto and easy. And you wrote me a long and difficult concerto. Oh, so Mozart was a little surprised to have this kind of. And at least this De Jean was not a nice guy because he gave just a part of the fee. And so Mozart wrote a letter to his father and said, no, because the father wrote him, how are you, blah, 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 blah. And Mozart was in love with this Aloysia. He wrote back, oh, it's okay, everything is okay. But yes, you know, I have concertos for the flute, and the problem is I have some difficulties, it's written like that, I have some difficulties to stand up in the morning. And so the father said, what? You have difficulties to stand up? This is not good. You have to work. And he says, yeah, but actually I have to write for this shit instrument. I hate the flute. He wrote that. And now everywhere, when you buy a CD with Mozart flute music, you open the booklet and immediately you see this sentence, Mozart hates the flute. No, Mozart didn't hate the flute. It was a time he wanted to do something. He was free. He wanted to have love and to have fun, but he had to write for the guy. And after, so the guy, the De Jean, didn't give him what was not so nice with him. So he said, for the second concerto, I have an idea. I will transcribe the oboe concerto. And I gave him as a second concerto. And at least everything was wrong because this De Jean didn't give him the fee. And so Mozart left and went to Paris. And in Paris, he met another flute player, De Guin. And this guy, he was playing the flute and his daughter was playing the harp. And for them, he wrote a double concerto. And when he came back, in Paris, it was a disaster because he didn't find any occupation. They asked him perhaps to play the organ at Versailles, at the court of Versailles. But said, well, this is not good enough to play the organ at the court, even if it's Versailles. But no, this is not enough. He wanted to be a composer for operas, and he never became any ask on this side. He had an ask to do a symphony and also a Sinfonia Concertante for flute, oboe, bassoon, and horn. But this is another story. I can tell you this story next time when we will perform this, because this is a very strange story as well. So he went back to Salzburg because the father said, listen, the father was very afraid of this guy, of his son, and he asked his wife, please go to Paris and have a look what happened there with his son. And the mother went to Paris, but unfortunately she died in Paris. She's still there in the church. She's Saint Eustache. And after he went back, and of course he did a stop again by the Weber family. And at this time he said to Aloysia, I am in love with you. And Aloysia told him, okay, but it's not exactly the same for me. Oh, he was shocked. So what he did, he married the sister, Aloysia, Constanze. But his marriage was not nice. And you know, there is an opera who speaks of this. It's Così fan tutte. Because Così fan tutte is a story of two sisters. It is a story of Mozart, who changed. You know the story. And what is very funny or very interesting to notice, that the music in Così fan tutte, the first couple is a soprano with a baritone, and the mezzo-soprano is with a tenor. And this is not the right situation in the opera. Normally, the soprano goes with the tenor, and the mezzo is with the baritone. This is a normal opera thing. And this is the opposite. And when the ladies change, it works. And the music is even nicer. And this is like the story of himself. He was always thinking, he dedicated a lot of music for the sister, for Aloysia. And very, very few things, because both were singers. And very few works for his wife. So this is the story of Mozart. Sorry I was a little long, but the conclusion is the difficulty of Mozart music is to play and to describe love. This is the conclusion.